Welcome to We Are Not in Kansas Anymore. I don't think anybody comes up with better titles than Dr. Kellery Dower, and that sure sums it up, right? It's been an amazing 2 years, and I use amazing in air quotes. So she is here to give us the benefit of her wisdom. I'm really looking forward to working with her on this, or hosting her on this. She is also the festival director, has been doing that for the past 2 years. We plan to do an honor choir, and that got bumped for 2 years. So she stayed the course and will be heading up honor choir in 2023, God willing, and the creek doesn't rise. So anyway, glad to see you all here. I know you all work incredibly hard, and we're all a little tired in the afternoon. We hope to uplift and energize you with this presentation. So take it away, Dr. Dower.
Thank you, and I'm tasked with uplifting and energizing. I'll do the best I can.
This is a great group. They're all smiling. I think
I know. I have to love that. Thank you so very much. I'm gonna share screen, and I hope this works, because sometimes it doesn't, and then you end up seeing my grocery list or whatever is on there. Can you see heels?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Then we're in the right place. Well, all right. Well, welcome to everyone. I'm so really pleased to be here, of course, and I want to get right to it because I have something that I'd like for you to do with me, well, kind of with me, but really with one another near the end. So indulge me for just a little bit to go through some things that could work, some things that might not, depending on where you are. Everything is not for everybody, but some things hopefully will at least resonate to some degree. So let me move this forward. All right. So why are we doing this now? I know that question comes up, at least it came up for me when I came up with the title. I had to work backwards. Like, why are we talking about this now? Because the pandemic actually isn't over with. But there are a lot of things that are changing. And one of the things that we obviously have in common with everybody in the world is that the change is constantly happening. So rather than keep being frustrated by the change, I think it's better right now, in the moment where I think there's a real shift going on, particularly for choir, that we start addressing ways to rebuild rather than waiting until it's finally completely subsided and then we go, okay, now we're good. Nope, that's too late, because the moment will have passed. So I think right now is important. And so that's why we're talking about it right now. I saw this on the internet the other day, and I thought, this is so true. So I'm sure some of you saw it too, because it got shared liberally. But this is kind of how it's been for the last 18 months. We're all on fire doing whatever it does, and then Will Ferrell, or whomever, that's you, Will Ferrell, saying, anyone want to join choir? And we don't know the answer to that yet. We have an idea of what we think it is, but we really don't quite know the answer to that. So let's talk about it. Oops. So these are some comments that you made. When I asked you to do the survey in advance, this is what popped up. I want you to take a second to read with me on some of them. I'm sure at least one of these resonates with you because you wrote it. Loss of a sense of community during online instruction. My perception is that too many students don't feel that it is cool to sing, or the thought of performing on stage gives them anxiety. Our middle school music program lost band due to the director leaving during the pandemic, and the school moving art into the band room. Bring it, move. Not. So we no longer have a band or orchestra for our middle schoolers. That leaves only one music teacher for the entire K-8 school. Me. That's a lot. Not seeing students and having them in the classroom. The question, by the way, for those that didn't answer, was what is the most impactful, I think is how I framed it. What was the most difficult thing that you're having to deal with during this time? The next one is overcoming the fact that so many kids simply didn't do choir. The consistency is gone. The kids are now used to being masked. They don't give much. They're afraid to be vulnerable, and singing is vulnerable. True. Getting students to sing it anyway. Students left choir while school was online and don't seem motivated to return. Zoom sound, awful. And hybrid seemed impossible. Enrollment up for next year, but this year I took all with no auditions to reveal. Brilliant, by the way. Lack of performance opportunity due to the pandemic, and loss of skills and discipline of students. The discipline part hopefully will get corrected by the activity, but I know that it can be a little wonky with students being gone for 18 months. So here's what I have as what I used to do as like the old choir building model. Now, I'm going to say this up front. Some of this stuff still works. Some of it will still work. Some of it will still work, but this was the old model. All right. So first thing is you hope hope was actually a strategy, for talented singers to join and stay engaged. They might join, by the way, but keeping a really talented student engaged takes strategy. Believe it or not, it really does. And whether you think you're being strategic or not, keeping somebody for 4 years in high school or 2 or 3 years in middle school, or however long they allow you to do it in elementary school, is actually strategic. And whatever you did, think back on it and figure out what that was that kept them engaged. You host some type of honor ensemble. You have maybe 4 students from each of the levels that you feed to come up. I've done this before and it works really well, and it has worked really well, but it didn't work too well during the pandemic, obviously. You invite the previous level ensemble to sing at your concert. Well, that brings in the parents from the other school, and that model is still could work. It very well could work, but that was something that we used to do. It didn't work too well during the pandemic. Couldn't. You have your students bring their friends to the choir. What friends for 18 months? They met them online. And if they had friends previously, that's all they knew. So they didn't meet anybody really new unless they met them online during the pandemic. So that model may be a little challenging even now. Take them on trips, which you couldn't do. But I still think this one could work because I used to do this and students came to choir in droves just because sometimes they want to go on trips and then I made them sing to go. That's just brilliant. I love that part. Or you did nothing and you let the counselors fill it. I don't know anybody that's doing that, and those that do it are probably not on this call. So that's the old model, right? But the new choir building recruitment, these are considerations. We don't have a model yet because we haven't gone far enough into the process to describe what the model will really be. And maybe there isn't a model. Maybe we need to get rid of the concept that there needs to be one way to do anything. There really isn't. It depends on where you are and who you are. All right, so the first one is virtual learning is a thing now. It's always been a thing, but now it's a thing. So we really have to consider how we're going to use that information forward. We can't have gone through 18 months or however long you actually had to do it and not have learned anything new. I know your skill set has shifted and changed, and it doesn't necessarily mean you have to stop being a choir director. You may have to be a different kind of choir director, and that's important. Students have been isolated also for those 18 months. What were they doing? They were, doing different things online. They were with their families, which is actually kind of good in some ways. I think that there's positivity in that. But you need to mitigate the fact that they've been isolated for 18 months. Those that might have been bullied may have had 18 months of, stress relief. And people don't often think of that. Everybody thinks student isolation was something bad, and it could be for long periods of time. But if somebody was having trouble at school, that was a break for them. Also, students that are these social butterflies, they had trouble because for 18 months, they couldn't do what they do best. And so that became a problem for them perhaps as well. So there's 2 sides to the coin, and those are things as a choir director you have to always imagine and think about. Administrators are focused on other things. Trust me, I know I am one. And while I get the pleasure of being focused on the arts all the time, if I were at a high school or a middle school or an elementary school, I'd have to find a way to be focused on the other things on the campus as well, where the pressure is. And that's usually, can the kids read? Are they going to graduate? Will they be prepared for college? Can they add and subtract and multiply and those kinds of things? So that's where your administrators typically have been focused. And that's a consideration that you'll need to work around as far as the new recruitment. And then financial limitations, because the focus has been somewhere else. Where goes the focus, so goes the money. And so you need to be strategic in the way that you request and receive funding during this period of time. Think LCAP. If you don't know what LCAP is, we're going to talk about it today. But it's something that a lot of choir directors, at least when I served on LCAP in Corona Norco, I didn't see a whole lot of choir folks in there. On occasion I did, but it should have been more because you fit into what the LCAP is about, at least in our district, and every district is different. And that stands for Local Control Accountability Program. We'll talk about what that means in a moment. All right, so here's some ideas why you all came, at least I hope. So lean into technology. We are not in Kansas anymore. Technology is now a mainstay. It's what we do. And this first one, I hope it doesn't scare you away, but reach out to your virtual school administrator and discuss a new virtual choir. Now, I know you hated it, right? But you learned how to do it. And think of those students as either potential choir students in the future or the ones you can reach in the way that they learn now. We always talk about making our curriculum accessible to students wherever they are, But we typically leave these students out. Those students that are part of the virtual schools in your districts, if you have them, they're not getting choir. They're getting, music appreciation or some other such. Why not, now that we know this skill and it's been added to a lot of choir directors' skill set, why not, engage in that way? And that student might be interested in coming in person sometime, or maybe they'll come to your concerts, but we have to reach them where they are. And so this is a possibility. It's not a mandate. None of this is a mandate. I don't have that kind of power, darn it. But think about it. It could be some way to expand and enhance the skill set that you've now used for the last 18 months. Recruit through TikTok challenges and other social media platforms. We actually did that here at my college, and it's been very helpful because that's where they all were for 18 months. So we just bet them over there and decided we'd start doing stuff with them. And they were, they were engaged. They really did engage with it. They probably thought some of it was corny, and maybe some of it was. But, work with your students. Your student leaders actually know how to use this platform. My youngest daughter is a senior in high school. When I'm doing stuff, I run it by her, and she'll like, "No, Mom, that doesn't look cool," or "that doesn't look right," and I'll just listen to her because she knows. Incorporate live streaming into your concerts. Many people do this, but do you do it for your rehearsals also? You have to get permissions, obviously. But if you did it for your rehearsals, students would find a way to share it. Now, you'll need to control this, because if you just have them pull their cameras up and say, "Start recording," there's no telling what's going to occur, and you don't know what they're going to write on it. So control the environment in that way. But, if you get live stream rehearsals from your school's, not your school's account, but your choir's account, it could be an idea that students might find cool. And maybe that brings another student in because, they tag their friends or whom they know in it. So that's an idea that could work. Reach all around for engagement. Create your own tornado. Here's how. Offer sectional help to your feeder schools at all levels. That means if you teach at the middle school, sorry, my phone is ringing. If you teach at the middle school, you would reach down to your elementary school and offer, they probably don't have sectionals, but offer to teach maybe a song if you can. If you teach the high school, go down to the middle school director and discuss ways that you may be able to help just run a soprano sectional at lunchtime or after school. I know it's more time, but this is a different time now. And it's going to be a little bit of a sacrifice. I get that. And I know you've been asked to do a lot. I get that. But if you can find a way, then I think this is a good idea. Ask the school that you feed for similar help. And this is particularly for high school teachers, because you don't really necessarily feed anybody. You feed like everybody, right? So think of the local community college or your universities that your students may typically go to, or another one, whichever one you can find engagement with, and ask them if they could send either a grad student down, or if that teacher might want to come down and help out in some way. But that's a way to make the connection that doesn't cost you anything. But it also provides sort of pathways and avenues for students to continue singing, and for you to get new singers as well, and to engage your current ones. Hold auditions at the feeder school sites. And I'm not talking about, we're having auditions at middle school or elementary school, show up. Make it a big deal. Find a way to advertise it through district means to everybody. Tell everybody you're doing it. And even if they're not at that level, find a way to let them know it's happening. And that serves to make your choir important. And that's critical. A lot of times as choir directors, we seek for people to, they don't understand me. No, they don't. They're never going to understand you. Please stop trying. What you want them to do is value you. So if you can find a way for them to value you, don't worry about whether they understand you or not. Value speaks volumes in districts, particularly with administrators and community members. So if they value what you do and they value what you're doing with the students, it won't matter if they understand you. Stop trying to seek to be understood. It's not going to happen. You're a unicorn on your campus. All right. Troll your honor choir list. If you don't already go to honor choir concerts for SCVA and ACDA and other organizations that put them on an RCOE next year, if you don't have your students involved in that process, and also if you don't go, you'll never know who the singers are in the feeder schools that are coming up. So that's an area that you might be missing. And sometimes, and I've seen it, students that do honor choir at one level drop choir completely at the next level. Drop it completely because they think that experience is isolated and they can't repeat it again. Some of them don't, many of them don't, but there are those that do. So troll the unacquired list and reach out to those parents and to those students and let them feel special. If they're an unacquired, they want to feel special, keep the party going. All right. And think like a college sports recruiter. And if you find one, reach out to them for some advice. They have access to everybody, and they always find a way every year to get the best ones. Well, that might be something that we need to consider in choir. We always think we know everything in our little choir bubble, but the truth is there are things that we can learn from other folks, and we need to start doing just that. That's a pandemic lesson, not just for you, but for me. All right. Bring them home. Come back, Toto. I tried to keep these names going. My daughter did tell me these were corny, but I'm going to go with them anyway. All right. Ask counselors and current students for a list of past singers that are still on campus. One of my best singers, I taught at Rancho Verde High School for 10 years in Moreno Valley. And one of my best singers was a great singer in 8th grade. And she was on campus and wasn't in the choir. And so one day I'm having a conversation with one of the students, and they're like, oh, yeah, well, Jessica sings really well. I'm like, who's Jessica? And turns out she was an amazing singer. She ended up majoring in music, and she became a choir director. But if I had never gone to get, I found her during lunch. Like, she was paying for something at the window. And I just found her. They took me to her. I wouldn't suggest that for everybody, but it worked for me that time. But you could certainly contact them, email them, maybe give them a call their parents. That sometimes helps and is very effective. And ask their counselor to connect you. That also helps for a couple of reasons. This one I've tried briefly, but I didn't get to do it for very long because of circumstances, but feature your current and the wayward, that's what I'm calling them, wayward students, into lunchtime concerts, even if they don't come back immediately, or even if they never come back. Don't think of trying to encourage people to join choir. Encourage people to sing, and singing on campus is choir. But if you frame it differently and say, I want you to come sing, instead, I want you to join choir, it doesn't sound like a commitment, even though it is. So if you just tell them, I want you to come sing at lunchtime with so-and-so who's a friend of yours, even if it's not good, please don't make excellence like the level there because it's lunchtime. If they want to get up there and give it a shot, I want to give them the opportunity to do it. And if they need somebody with them, use a current student, especially if it's the one that told you about them. So. Host a faculty counselor talent show, either virtual or in person. Make them your campus cheerleaders, especially in English and math. Why those two? Because they see everybody on campus. They see every student every year. I know there's at least one English teacher on this call. Hi, John Rockwell. So they see every student every year. So why not connect with them? And he's an amazing musician, so that helps. But we also had counselors. Every year we used to do a Rancho Idol show, and I would have one of the counselors, Judy Kinberg was like Paula Abdul for us every year. She loved it. So anytime a student came into her office, she was head counselor, which was really helpful. Anytime a student came in her office and they didn't have an elective or they mentioned that they sang at church, she would put them in choir. And that just helped grow the program tremendously. And it was because of a relationship that we had with her. So develop those relationships. And many of you already do this, but what if they have talent and they're just quiet and didn't have the courage maybe to do it or couldn't do it? So give them an opportunity. And then this one here, collaborate with your theater and band teachers. Your work is their work too. Now I get it. I've been there and I'm like, oh, these are my students. I can't. If I let them be in theater, if I let them be in band, then they're not going to want to be with me. I used to be that way. Get rid of that concept, because the truth is, especially now, your work is the same as theirs. All y'all are in the same boat. So the performing arts on campus needs to be a force, not this disjunct, I don't want to go over there kind of situation. You've got to find a way, especially now, to work with them, even if they have a diva attitude, even if they have, a horrible program, or if their program is great. Find the connection point, and please, I implore you, work with them, because the same work that they're doing is the work that you need to be doing, and the three of you need to be doing together, or four. All right. Reach within, click your heels, you're already home. These are for students that are already there. Ask your officers to join just one more choir. It'll increase their skill level in the other choirs too that they're in, especially the advanced ones. But have them join just one more choir. This is true even at middle school. At elementary, I don't know that it works like that unless maybe you have an after-school choir. If they're during the day choir, maybe you can have them be in a special ensemble afterwards. But that is a numbers game, really, for your administration. And numbers are numbers. They don't care if it's duplicated for the most part. They're just looking at, are there 40 students in this choir and are there 50 in this one? even if there's a duplication, it doesn't really matter because it helps to add value to your program. And the benefit is that the student that's singing in more than one choir, and this helps for like for juniors and seniors who have room or eighth graders that have room, it gives them the opportunity to mentor, which is critical because they want to be leaders too. And if they're willing to join another choir, skill set goes up. And also you have this opportunity to have them in multiple choirs. So try that. Use your upperclassmen as tutors for theory, piano, and musicianship, and to run sectionals. If you're not already doing this, please give it a shot, especially now. I think because we've been so far away from the 300 voice, everybody y'all come sing, because we haven't had an opportunity to do it. Starting small with sectionals and then branching out and teaching some of these other skills that may have fallen to the wayside during the pandemic would be important. So if you have tutors that can do it, I don't know if the AVID program does music tutors, I think they should, but use them for the smaller things and then bring them all together and have them tell you what they learned. You'd be surprised at what comes out of those. Have a well-publicized recruitment drive and create section champions and provide distinction for the section that brings the most students to choir. So I used to do this one all the time because we never stopped recruiting. And so one of the things that we would do is whoever section brought the most during August, because I think that was like a week in August when you bring people in, they got to get on the bus first for all the trips. They got to go first in line for all it was just little stuff, but it was enough. It was enough. So find something that works for you, and it could work for this kind of thing could work for you. What do I have next? Work with your local community college to create a dual enrollment ensemble. This gives students free college credit, and it becomes more attractive to parents and also to students. So the way dual enrollment kind of works right now is that it really benefits everybody with music students. It benefits students that are in AVID or other classes that want to get ahead. So we offer, like in our case, we offer a music appreciation course. It's not filled with music students. It's filled with everybody else. Well, what about our music students? How are they getting college credit in high school in a subject that they love or a subject that they're good at? It doesn't mean that they shouldn't continue also, of course, take the English, get ahead, take the math, get ahead. My own daughter did this. But it would be great. How powerful would it be for a dual enrollment ensemble at the high school level with your community college? And in some districts, the dual enrollment goes all the way down to middle school. So check with your district to find out if it's something that you can do, because they get college credit. And that's attractive, if for nothing else, but the books are free in case you happen to use a book. But also you could pair up likely with the instructor at the community college, and you could both teach. And what a great ensemble where they're singing and getting college for credit for something that they're already doing. So that's an idea. Access old and new funding, follow the green brick road, get rid of the yellow brick because we need to. Reach out to your administration. It's going to be a bunch of principals that might come looking for me because I'm going to have to be looking to them for a lot of stuff. To include choir in LCAP funding. It's more effective, though, if you work with band and theater. If all of you come together and create something that you think that will work for all the performing arts on campus, it will be very effective. And make sure the choir is, of course, getting what they need in there too. There's also CARES Act funding that happened as a result of COVID-19 that I'd like to make you at least aware of, because you are at a school and you can access it if you ask. This is the Learning Loss Relief Fund. Now, I'll just give you quick what the use of the funds could be. There are several levels of it, and I'm going to drop, if I can, I'll drop it in the chat later when I'm done. This link, I'll drop that link in the chat so you can see it. If you have questions, you can take a picture of this if you'd like to, but I'll drop the link in the chat because it shows you all the different levels. But look at the stuff that you could use it for. Expanded learning, extending the school year or day, otherwise generally increasing the amount of instructional time and services provided. Well, that people think automatically that goes to what people have referred to as the academic or core subjects. Get rid of that idea. The federal government really considers arts as core. And so we're just not a tested core area, but we are a core. And so because of that, we have students that have the exact same learning loss as a student in English or math. So it's just the way you craft it, and you have to speak the language of the people you're talking to. So if you're talking to administrators, you need to think data. They need data and a clean plan. If you can come up with that, then you can probably get access to a lot more funding rather than going in and saying, you don't get me, which I get. I've been there before. I still cry. But Be strategic in the way that you ask for money. And one of the strategies is to use the language that's here. So if you want to access these funds, my suggestion is to do a little paragraph about what you're trying to do, and then use the actual language that you see here, expanded learning. Write that out, and then below it, tell them how you're going to utilize it. Learning supports, tutoring. We talked about tutoring, right? If you want to use college students and you want to pay them, this might be an opportunity depending on the limitations of the funding. Integrated pupil support. I don't know how that might work in, but there's social and emotional learning. If you find a way, use it. Community learning hubs, include access to technology and connectivity. That's for internet and things like that. I don't know if that's an issue in your district, but that might be a broader conversation. Support for credit deficient pupils. I don't know. Maybe there's kids flunking choir out there. I'm not sure. I hope not. Diagnostic assessment and progress monitoring. When I saw that, the first thing that came to my mind is the sight reading factory or something like that. That's diagnostics. It's an assessment and it's progress monitoring. And there's tons of other software out there too. That's music that assesses the student and gives you feedback. Don't think that you have to come up with this money yourself. There is money out there that you can access that won't minimize the amount of money that you had previously planned for your regular choir year. And then training for you, your social and emotional health and academic needs, there's money for that included in the Learning Loss Relief Fund as well. So think about that and think about accessing that funding to help rebuild your program. Diversify your rep, change the colors often. So reimagine what you consider canon and choral music. Now, I know everybody was likely trained the exact same way, and it's very Euro choral classical centralization. But we need to expand that and really blow that out of the water. That's coming from a very limited understanding of what students need and what music is currently as we present it. The canon is what we say it is, particularly in America. Now, I know there's some that will argue with me, and I'm not here to argue, but canon really is what's best for your choir right now. And that could be almost anything, but you got to know the voices in your room. Not every choir can sing everything. You already know that. But not every choir should sing everything. And there are times when we need to expand that out a little bit further than what we currently use. If you've recycled the same program more than a couple of years, if a student that is a freshman in your choir or an 8th grader or a 7th grader in your choir can repeat every word of something because they've sung it so many times, it's time to reimagine what you're doing. All right, whoops. All music is multicultural, which I wanted to say. So include as many as you can, including Europe. There's a culture, there are several cultures within Europe, but it shouldn't center there. Don't just other every music from other than Europe as multicultural. That's not the appropriate label. That's a part of a culture too. So include them in the multiculturalism and don't limit folks that are outside of that. Survey your parents. Some of them were in choir, many of them, and they'll come to you. They'll be the first ones to tell you. You've met them already. I know you have. They come to you at a concert and they say, I used to be in choir. I sang bass. I was in the all-state I was they'll tell you. And they'd love to hear some of their old choir music. Maybe you could bring some of it back if it's appropriate for your choir and maybe have them sing up there with you. That could be a thing. All right. Host a concert where students pick the entire rep. Calm down. It's okay. They can probably do this. And I think you'd be surprised at what they came up with. I think you'd be blown away with what they came up with. And then take days for conversation and fun, connect to each of them and have them connect to each other. And that's a really, to me, one of the most important things. Now, I wouldn't suggest taking the entire week doing that, but I do suggest that from time to time you check in with them, especially now, because some of them don't get a chance to talk to their parents at home. Their parents don't understand them, right? But what they do have is you. They come to you. They're coming to you for almost everything. Some of you probably feel like travel agents, psychologists, parents, babysitters, hopefully not so much, but find a way to connect with them and listen to what they've got to say, how their day went. And, if a student is willing to do that and go that extra mile, then we should encourage that behavior. Also, I know it's easy to not want your choir to perform anywhere because they don't sound good. But I challenge you to do what we ask our students to do, which is do it anyway. If a student is nervous about singing a solo, we ask them, at least in rehearsal, to get up there and do it anyway. Well, now I'm challenging you as the conductors to let your students get up there and try it anyway, even if you don't think they sound fantastic. Audiences are incredibly forgiving, especially right now. And who cares if they're not right now? It's more about getting these students back to where they need to be. And if that means putting them in a performance opportunity that might not be the best sound that they've ever made or the best choir that you've ever had, so be it. Let it live. Because that's where it's going to change. That's going to shift all of this. And that's what's going to make the biggest difference in your rebuilding of your program, when they know that you believe in them, no matter how deficient they might be, or how, and they know when they sound not as good, they know, but that you believe in them enough to put them in front of an audience again speaks volumes to how that relationship is going to go forward. All right. So here's the part where I need your help. I want you to, I'm going to put you in breakout groups. I know you love these because everybody has just been in love with Zoom for the last few years, but I'm still going to do it because it's important, because there's something magical that happens when you work with other folks. I want you to identify just one of these ideas that you think you could implement this week. And that part is important. And don't say, I couldn't think of one. I'm forcing you to pick one. And then once you get into the breakout rooms, I want you to identify just one person that's going to share, unless there's something mind-blowing that you couldn't figure out how to re-say. Okay? Who's doing the breakout? Liliana, can you help me?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Now. Do you guys want to be also the presenters on the breakout?
No, I won't be. No. I want to let them have a chance to talk.
Got it. Okay.
So we just need Catherine to join. And
That's it.
that's
Just
it.
Catherine. Yes.
This is Catherine. She might have stepped away. Okay, and how long are we doing this for? Should we set a timer?
No, I didn't. I'm still here.
Okay.
So,
shall I set a timer? Are you thinking
yeah,
10 minutes?
10 minutes from now.
Okay, I'll set a timer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, hold on. You're like, do I have to do all the work? Yes. No, we're still here to support you.
That's fine.
Okay, here we go. Hold on, something in the chat. Oh, that's you. And I didn't know if you saw the question from John Rockwell. Do those funds diminish eventually?
Eventually they do.
Yeah,
They do.
but that,
And
I think
yes.
a lot of things cycle in, cycle out, right?
They do. Oh, she finally joined. Some of the funding it's already been allocated to the district, which if they have a question about that,
Right.
I can answer it. But if it's been allocated, that means they can also reallocate, particularly if they didn't consider one group, like if they left choir out completely or the arts out.
Performing arts, yeah.
Yeah, I would ask, like, hey, I noticed that there's.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's time to reimagine. We don't often ask for money. It's not something that's not our nature to ask for funding like that. We just get the budget that's given to us, but there's other ways.
Right. I'm really interested to see the TikTok challenge that you did. I wonder if that's something you can.
If I can't, well, it was the college that actually did it. We didn't do it
Right.
with choir per se, but the college, and they're actually in the middle of it right now. It's still happening.
I wonder, could I look it up somewhere? Do you think? I'm not on
I think so.
TikTok.
If you follow Santa Ana College, it should be there. They started gathering videos, so I'm not even sure if they probably have published them by now. But yeah,
It's a good strategy.
Mhm.
I also was smiling, and I'll mention this when we're back, but you're talking about, recruit the parents. You used to be in choir. So I was in all district choir,
See?
and I still remember vividly singing the Sloop John B.
See,
So if somebody invited me back to sing that in a heartbeat, I would be there. Is that funny? I was probably 10.
see, yeah, and there's every
Right?
concert I'd have a parent or two coming up to me saying, I used to be in choir. And so why not, this is an opportunity. You don't have to go by the festival list or anything. Nobody's holding you to that standard. So use this time to maybe do something like that to re-engage the parents.
Yeah, no, that just cracked me up because I still know the words. I remember it very
Yep.
well.
Yep.
And I agree. That would encourage.
Yeah, yeah. And then you'd almost drag your kid to choir, like, oh, look, you need to get up there and sing.
This
I
is
did this.
This is fun. Let's do this.
I sang, so why not you? So, yeah. Oh man.
I don't know what happened to my voice though. I used to be a good little singer and now not so much. So I don't know if that's lack of practice or what.
No, it's okay. I mean, people, if you don't use the instrument, it does kind of diminish. I had a couple of teachers reach out to me that they couldn't be here. I think one was from
Yes.
Roosevelt High School. I don't think we're recording this, but
We are recording.
we are. Okay,
Mhm.
fine.
So that's what I always tell them, give me a week or two, because I always do the closed caption and then I put it up on YouTube. So
Okay.
I will actually send this out to all choir teachers in the county.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Because there's a lot of people that they're busy and,
I know, and it's tough, and they got to get kids after school.
it's afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
I do understand it completely.
Do you, are you thinking of sharing the slides, or could you do it during, like, maybe not PowerPoint, but like PDF of the slides? How
I
would you
may
feel
do a
about that?
PDF. I may do
Okay.
a PDF. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's 5 more minutes left. It seems.
Let's see. Yeah, it's 6:40. We have 6 minutes and 41 seconds.
Okay, I was off by a minute. Look at that.
You are
Liliana,
good.
how are you enjoying your new gig? Where'd you come from, Liliana?
From Bone Park Unified.
Oh, okay.
It's,
Wow.
it's different, but it's good. I'm getting there.
She's here with the wacky arts lady. It's never a dull moment around here.
It'll be the best job you've ever had, I can guarantee you.
Right. Yes, definitely.
Lisa's fantastic. She treats people well, which is important for a boss, right?
Mhm.
That's a good
That's
thing.
it.
You'll enjoy it.
Well, I feel like we're artists, we're sensitive, right? So
Sometimes
how would
overly.
huh?
Sometimes overly so.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that goes toward, and also I think everything I do is relationships driven. And I was just telling, who was I telling about how I met you? And that's like at least 12 years ago.
Oh yeah, with Ray.
Ray, and you came in with your choir. We did the steel drum concert. First time I met you.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember we were at it was a theater at a high
Palm
school.
Springs High School.
Yeah, okay. I knew it was something out that way, and I remember just you walking along the wall. I'm like, "Who is that?" Ray's like, "Oh, that's the Powerhouse."
I don't know how he talked you into coming all the way out to Palm Springs for that, but
I would have done it.
much obliged.
I still will. I don't really talk to Ray that much anymore because I don't know. He's just traveling or
I
doing.
still do, and in fact, he is one of the team on a strategic plan out of Valverde.
Oh, really?
And so he said to me, "Oh, are you going to that?" And I go, "I'm co-leading that." So
Well, Allison probably.
yeah. And so I had him sitting right with me. So I just leave him just here. This is what we're doing. So yeah.
You better tell him or else he'll say something inappropriate.
Exactly. I sat him right next to me.
There
Yes.
you go.
Did you say something about wayward? Yeah.
Yeah, there you
God
go.
love
Yeah,
him.
that's
He's a
right.
PhD in music, but he will pop off with something.
He definitely will. That's been Ray since I've known him. I think I've known Ray 20 years now. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And there's a guy in here, John Rockwell, who is he's an English teacher at Rancho Verde, but he and I started on the same day at Rancho Verde.
Oh,
He's still there.
wow.
But yeah, that's so funny that he's
That's
still
neat.
around. And their choir teacher, I guess he left in the middle of the school year at Rancho.
I didn't know
You're not
that.
here? Yeah, well, Allison didn't tell you. Yeah, he left in January.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they're starting over with a new person who I believe is.
I had a couple of principals reach out to me where they had new, I want to say band directors in this case, starting mid-year and middle school. I'm like, that's tough. That is a tough sled, and I said, I know great teachers if you give release time
Yeah.
that can work with them, because wow, it's not a great time to be starting.
That's tough.
I do a lot of, not a lot, but there's Cal State San Bernardino and Cal State San Marcos have me lecture to pre-service teachers
Oh, cool.
about integration, which I love. I want the teachers right when they're starting out.
Yes.
And I tell them, I promise you, this has been 30 great years. Like, it's going to seem a little weird, and the first year is going to be hard, but right, I still love it.
Yep.
So
Still
much.
worth it. Still worth it. Somehow it's still worth it.
Well, it's the people business, right? We love those kids. We love those young people.
You gotta love folks.
Yeah, you have to love the arts, and you have to love people. That's the
Maybe.
I think.
So how many minutes is left? Do you think 10 minutes?
3 minutes. 2:59.
Send them can you send a note to the breakout room that they have like a couple of minutes left
Lily, can you give them a warning?
in case somebody's talking to
Yep.
them?
Okay, Jason Harvey in room 2 asked for help. Should I pop in there?
Yes, I guess.
So just let them know 2 minutes left.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted.
Oh, no problem. Can't hear you. Oh.
I just want to know how much time they had. That's funny.
They should have gotten that note just when you.
We just missed them.
Yeah.
It's so lovely for the choir directors to get to hang out and talk to each other virtually.
It's pretty rare, believe it or
It
not.
is. It is.
I'm reading emails, huh?
I don't dare touch anything when I'm doing Zoom because I'm hosting the recording, so
I got you.
I can pester Lily by text, but
Thank you. Okay. Da, 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 da.
do you ever go by Lily?
Yes.
Liliana? Or
I
just
always, no, I go by Lily, not Liliana.
I didn't want to say that without your permission. Okay, well, so Lily or Lili?
Lili.
Got it.
Mhm.
You know. And Kellery has a beautiful and unusual name. So you probably have to point that out to people. Like,
Yeah. Well,
Say the
I used to go by Kelly, and then I stopped making it easy on the world and said, "Learn my name." That's what
It's
I
not
was.
your name.
That's
Well,
not my name.
I
Yeah.
kind of answer to anything like close, just because Lisa isn't super, Lisa, Louise, Lois,
Oh
sure.
yeah. Yeah. I've been called Cujo before, so I mean it's all.
Oh, no.
You remember Cujo? Liliana will not know that movie reference,
No, I wouldn't.
but we know it.
He's too young. Yep.
Yeah.
That's funny. No, I remember my daughters in high school used to say, "Mom, stop being so aggressive." I'm like, "It's not aggressive, it's assertive."
That's true.
Right?
That's very, very true. Oops.
All right, we're at 5 seconds.
Okay, I'm gonna stop share.
So those have to be.
So we can see everybody. I have got a whirlwind weekend. I'm judging from 7 a.m. till 9:30 p.m. Friday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We're good to close the rooms?
Yes, please.
You have to respond.
Yeah, 57 seconds.
So like mine looks.
Yeah.
So what I would like is like that first list, which says special.
Is that in your background, Kellery, I'm hearing, or Lily?
It must be Lily. It's not mine. Nobody here but us.
Okay. Okay. Here we come. We're returning.
Welcome back. I think we still have folks out.
Excuse me.
Is there like a whole room that's left? Am I right, Liliana? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back. I think we have everybody that was on the
There we
call pretty much back. All right. I'm glad you got a chance to speak with each other. I will call for volunteers because I don't know who you picked. So whoever is feeling the Holy Ghost, start talking.
I see William has his hand
William
up.
is already praising. All right, go ahead, William.
We all like the talent show, the faculty talent show idea a lot. I'm already doing a talent show, so I'm just going to try and get some faculty involved because I need some people to fill that time.
Awesome, awesome.
And then we all love to get them singing idea and, they don't sound perfect right now, and we're still going to have them sing.
That's right. Very, very good. Awesome. All right. Who's next? Thank you, Yvonne. Am I saying it correctly?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah.
We had 2 high school teachers and 2 elementary teachers. So Diana at the high school is going to work on contacting her junior high and working on that connection. That's so important, obviously, between schools, that matriculation. And Chris is having his students pick more of the repertoire. So that's something that they both liked. Mm-hmm. And then Beth is got a concert coming up. We're not quite there yet at my school, so I'm working on having them bring a friend.
Oh, good. Good. Excellent. And who's next? Ryan. Hi, Ryan.
Hi. Our group, there are a lot of talk about the idea of just rebuilding culture. John was commenting on at his school, the culture of performing, the idea of, just getting kids to perform without so much of a filter on being a gatekeeper of the quality, just getting them doing. Jason was looking to reach out to his past lists, since they have choir from 6 to 12. He's got lots of kids from that middle school who might not have continued, and he's gonna go check those lists. Carlos, who's just in his 3rd week now of teaching, really getting started strong here, but he's going to focus on recruiting. And I'm absolutely loving the concurrent enrollment idea, and think that could be a really powerful tool if I can figure out who to partner with to make that happen.
Well, let me know if you really want to do that, Ryan, and I will help connect you with the dean over there. I don't know which community college. We'll figure that out. And that goes for anybody. If you want to know, I think, I know for Rancho Verde would be Moreno Valley College, and I'm pretty sure they'd be open to that. All right, and John Rockwell is here. He and I started the same day at Rancho Verde. Like, we were literally in the principal's office together. So it's so good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much. Too. Thanks for being here. So I do want to know who's in the room. I don't know, and I do want to figure that out really quickly because I didn't get a chance to do that at the beginning. I forgot.
Hold on 1 second. I saw Tina had her hand up.
Tina, I'm sorry. Was one more? I'm so sorry, Tina.
That's okay.
I know it was another room. Go ahead.
That's okay. I just wanted to share from my group that we had some ideas about getting to know you activities, making sure you put some time into your schedule for that. And it can be really short little blurbs. Like one suggestion was to take a note card and just have the kid fill it out at the beginning of the semester with their name, how many siblings they have, what's their favorite video game, etc. And then kind of stumping the class the next time by picking one card and
there you go.
Saying, who is this person, and reading their information. So that was kind of a cool thing. Also, one of the concerns we had was also building the culture of commitment, being committed to something outside of yourself, which is a very much an ensemble attitude. And so we were thinking that we would like to do stuff that as a school, maybe on a larger scale, gets them used to the idea of being involved in outside of yourself into other things. Using guest conductors for the changeover from division to division. We thought maybe using having the middle school conductor come over and work with your choir one day so they can put a face with it. And so hoping to do all those things, especially now that some of the regulations are being lifted. So
very, very cool. I knew once the choir directors went off, you guys are so brilliant. You just have to know that. I've been around, and I'm telling you, choir folks are some of the most brilliant minds in the world. No shade to anybody else. It's just been true everywhere I've been. I know a couple of folks in here, but I don't know everybody. So if you could, I'm going to just call your names based on what I see here. Just tell me who you are and just the name of your school and what level, which might come out in the name. Jason?
Hi, everyone. My name is Jason Harney. This is my 27th year teaching choir. I teach currently at Aliso Niguel High School, where I've been for 17 years. And I also, as Ryan mentioned a moment ago, I concurrently taught middle school and was my own feeder for the last 10 years until this year also.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. Carlos?
Hi, my name is Carlos. I'm the new choir teacher here at Villegas Middle School.
Oh, wow.
And this is my 3rd week here.
Oh, wow. Bless you. You're in for quite a ride. You will enjoy it, I'm sure. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Diane?
Hi, I'm Diana Lannon, and I'm the choir teacher at Bishop Union High School. I also do drama club. We don't have a theater teacher. And we don't have a lot of feeder because we're a single high school coming from 2 junior highs that don't have any choir. One has band, and there's one elementary band class sort of at the elementary school to feed that.
Right.
Those are all taught by the same teacher.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a couple of you. You'll probably get a lot more done. There's only 2 people they have to worry about, potentially.
We talk a lot.
I know you do. That's great. Thank you. Yvonne?
Hi, I'm Yvonne Pluto, and I teach general elementary K through 5 at Gerald Ford in Indian Wells. And I've had prior to COVID, before after school choir and recorder group. So with literally the mask mandate coming down today, they've said we're allowed to come back. So now I'm just kind of contemplating what that looks like now, not having expected that to come along with the mask change. So we're getting there.
Bless you. You'll have a lot of fun to look forward to. Thank you. Chris? WVHS?
Yeah, I'm Chris Downard. I teach at West Valley High School in Hemet. I teach choir and general music.
Wonderful. Andrew, in the car on the hotspot?
Yeah. Hey, I'm Andy. Sorry, I thought Louisa and I were the only person here. For some reason, I didn't have gallery view on. So I'm Andy. I'm at Rancho Mirage High, and I used to share a building with Louisa for a long time.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Kurt?
Sorry. Kurt Kelly here. I'm a middle school teacher in Painted Hills Middle School in Desert Hot Springs as part of the Palm Springs School District. I teach band and choir and keyboarding here. When I arrived here a few years ago, we had 3 bands and 2 choirs. Now it's down to just 2 bands and 1 choir and me teaching some music electives. We're trying to build that back. It was pretty devastating here. And we have almost no elementary feed. We have elementary school feeders, but we have almost no choir or band programs at that level here in our district. A lot of music teachers, but it's mostly general ed.
Wow. Okay. Well, I would still try to reach out to community colleges.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
if you can find a way. Yeah. Thank you. Tina?
Hi, I'm Tina Batchelder Schwab. I am the Vapatosa for Hemet Unified School District. I started 3 weeks ago as well.
Oh, wow.
So I'm getting to know my people. But prior to that, I was 26 years in general music and choir and band and orchestra periodically throughout that.
Okay, thank you. Lavinia, down in Temecula. I know you are. Or Marietta, is it? I think it's Marietta.
Oops. Hi, Dr. Dower. This is my husband, Tim. So,
Hi, Tim.
Yeah, Tim, we're both teaching in Marietta. I'm still at Chavela, and I loved it when you came to adjudicate my kids and work with them. My husband teaches elementary choir and recorder and gen music there. So we've done a lot of these things. Yeah, this is our 32nd year, and I think we're going to make it our last year.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, find your replacement now.
Yeah, we are. I've already been connecting with this year, the high school director at my main feeder high school. We've been team teaching.
Oh, good.
Yes. So Daniel Alvarez is coming down and working with me. And actually, I also teach string orchestra. So he's a string player as well. So we've been teaching. It's been a great experience. And his wife has been team teaching a little bit with Tim at the elementary level. She teaches over at one of the other middle schools. So we're doing good. And so, yeah, this makes 33 years for us in Marietta.
Marco, please give them a round of applause. That's a long time to be doing anything.
Thank you. So,
especially choir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. William, who I heard from earlier, but let's hear the rest of the story. William?
Hi, I'm William Bucci. I teach at Idlewild K through 8 school. I'm the music teacher there. I teach general music, choir, orchestra, band for elementary and middle school. And it's really great. It's wonderful to see the kids back, and I can't wait to get more of them back into the classroom playing music. I already see some of my superstars coming out already.
Yeah, they do show back up eventually. Beth? You lost somebody. Beth?
Good afternoon. My name is Beth Schwant, and I teach in the Alvord School District. And we teach grades 3 through 5 at 3 different elementary schools. So we travel and do 3 grades. And welcome, Carlos. It's the first time we've met and we're colleagues, but it's nice to have, Carlos will teach 2 schools at elementary and then he'll do the choir at Viegas. So it's nice to meet you and it's good to see everyone. Thank
Very
you.
good.
General music, choir, recorder, drum buckets, and boomwhackers. Nobody tops us in boomwhackers.
Okay, I love it. I love the boomwhackers until they start playing them, and then I'm like, all right, Ron. Ron, you're muted.
I teach at Canyon Lake Middle School in Lake Elsinore School District and at Lisenio. So I teach band at one school and choir at Canyon Lake. I trained in Australia and I've been in the States 5 years and been teaching in Lake Elsinore for the last 3.
Thank you and welcome. Glad to have you. Catherine?
Hello, I'm Catherine Puck, and I'm an itinerant music teacher in Manteca at 2 elementary school sites for grades 4 through 8, where we do general music, band, and choir.
Very good. Well, thank you. It was nice to meet you all. I'm going to just give you 2 more things, and then we're going to end it all here. We just did that. Oops. There we go. So these are some recommended resources. I'm the president of the National Collegiate Choral Organization, so of course I have a plug for my own organization, but we did a position paper on virtual choirs with Dr. Nicole Aldrich, and if you ever consider doing a virtual choir, there's a position paper that can help you with some guidance there. This last February, just last month, the ACDA Choral Journal had an article I thought was fascinating. It's Diverse Embodiments, How COVID-19 Expanded Choral Practice with Dr. Karen Daly, who's also an NCCO member, and was a contributor on that the virtual choir paper as well. But she's got a bunch of resources there. I wanted to filter you or send you all to this article to see the rest of the recommendations. She has about a page and a half of different other articles that she lists as references in her document. And then coming in 2023, there's a book by Dr. Wendy Moy from Syracuse, which I was actually interviewed for this one, but it's called Resurrecting Song, A Pathway Forward for Choral Art in the Time of Pandemics. Good book. I already can say good because I've seen a lot of the information in advance, so I recommend that highly. Please make sure that you get that book when it comes out next year. And if you have ideas and you want to run them by somebody you're not sure they'll work, please take a picture of this screen and contact me. I welcome all comments. So if you want to, I might not know the answer, and I probably don't, but if I can find it out, I'm certainly here to help you find that answer. So please contact me if you have an idea, you're not sure, please, by all means, just shoot me a quick email and I'm happy to be of help. Thank you all for coming today. I really appreciate it. And John, to answer your question, yes, the money does run out and it's already been allocated. So you might want to contact your district and see how they allocate it and maybe have a conversation about a reallocation.
Thank you.
Just real quick as we wrap up, I wanted to say, and I said this when you guys were in breakout rooms, that idea about inviting parents to sing, I remember all district choir, and I still remember singing the Sloop John B. So I would join in a heartbeat if anybody is doing that song, just putting it out there. I wanted to let you know that actually Dr. Kellery was featured on NPR this morning on KBCR doing an interview about this class this afternoon. So that's pretty neat. And I also want to let you know there's going to be an email coming to you right away from Liliana Perez, my assistant, asking you to take our 2-minute survey. That's really helpful to me because I pass on positive comments to our presenters, and it also helps shape future presentations for professional learning. If you're really enthusiastic about this type of thing, give me feedback, make suggestions for the future. I read every single one and take them to heart. And Kellery is kind enough to be sending the PDF of the slides. So if you want to go back and revisit something or something went by quickly, she'll go ahead and do that. So I'm very grateful to Dr. Dower for being here and creating this presentation for us. I'm so glad to see many of you, not in person, but to see you face to face in a sense for the first time, including Tina. Haven't seen Beth in an age. Anyway, it's been wonderful to spend this time with you this afternoon. So thank you, everybody. And that is a wrap for today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.